Hello, today is January 23rd, 2013, and you are listening to I Think You Think, a podcast that puts a new spin on debate and discussion. I'm Justin, and on the other side of my computer screen is James.
Good evening, folks.
And we are your hosts and carry no credentials worth noting. I Think You Think is a podcast that focuses on what we, your hosts, think, but also what you think. Too many times we spend debates and discussions talking past one another and not enough time trying to learn and understand why someone thinks what they think. This is what makes I Think You Think different, because we are focused on why people think the way that they do and why we think the way that we do. James and I believe that the forum of ideas should be open to everyone, and everyone should have the opportunity to challenge and be challenged by ideas. We are not here to pass judgment, but merely discuss ideas and topics. This podcast, first and foremost, is a conversation between us and hopefully you. Feel free to email us, follow us on Facebook for future podcasts, and follow us on Tumblr for links relevant to the podcast. The links for each of these can be found in the underbar of this video. I Think You Think is produced by StolenArts Productions and is recorded live at Fisher International Studios. James, how are you doing today?
Warm, finally. It's been pretty cold the last couple of days, but I'm, comfy inside my house, so keeping the weather at bay. How about yourself, sir?
I am with you. I appall the cold. I don't like it. I will do everything I can to stay away from it. So, yes, I am extremely happy to be sitting in a pretty warm house and not having to deal with the less than 0 degree Fahrenheit temperature out there, or for those who like the centigrade, it's -13, makes it seem even colder.
Yeah, you want to know what makes it seem colder? Standing outside. That makes it seem a lot colder. It's
yes,
brutal.
It does.
That wind with the snow flying around the night, brutal.
So we are going to dive into our first topic tonight, which is MMO addiction. That's massively multiplayer online addiction. James, this was a topic that you had suggested, and so I'm going to kind of turn the floor over to you.
Well, for anyone who has played an MMO to any degree, or for those that have friends or family that have, WoW, from my experience, being the biggest culprit, this is actually literally a problem. Some people are on Facebook a lot. Imagine doing that with something that takes pretty much the majority of your attention. Facebook is something you can do casually. MMOs, especially certain MMOs, you cannot do casually. I used to play an MMO called City of Heroes, which is now defunct. As of late last year, it went offline, and all those hours of work I put in are lost and gone forever. It's kind of sad. But I remember when I did that, I fell asleep at my keyboard multiple times. And when I finally stopped, it was actually great. I felt like I sort of got my life back. I also have a series of employees that all worked for me at the same time that all played World of Warcraft, commonly referred to as WoW. And they, like, when they stopped, they would refer to it, like people talk about quitting smoking or quitting drinking. Oh, I stopped cold turkey. Things like that. Like, really, I don't want to even play once. I don't want to get back into it. Like, that kind of addiction exists for MMOs. I am presently happy now with my console systems, because most console games, you buy it, you play it, there's a definitive end, and it's time to move on to the next one. So it's not as wrapped up as you can get in an MMO. You've never really played or been, we'll say, addicted to an MMO, have you, Justin?
Well, no, and I would clarify by saying I really don't get addicted to anything. It's one of the nice things about being me. I can get really excited about something, but then walk away from it in a very short order. So yes, I have played some very simple ones. Star Trek Online is one that I got into. I thought was kind of fun, but my interest waned within a couple of weeks, and I kind of moved on. But no, I've never played WoW. I've had people try to get me into it. I like role playing games, but never saw the appeal. They seem, when I've seen people play them, I feel like they move too fast for me.
Yeah, well, at first it does feel that way. I mean, the more accustomed you get to it, because they are different than a console game. I mean, you basically play with a keyboard and a mouse. And there's a lot of I forget what the terms were, where you pick which
Hotkeys.
key, yeah,
Hotkeys.
hotkeys,
Yep.
macros at times. So you'll hit one key that will initiate a series of events, things like that, and sort of customizing it for your usage.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, like I know with World of Warcraft, and I didn't have this with City of Heroes, but with World of Warcraft, to stay at the top of your game as far as equipment and badges or trophies or what I forget what they're called on there. There's just like it's just like the awards you can get if you're playing Xbox or PS3. You achieve a certain event and you just get your badge or your award or I forget what they're even called on the Xbox anymore. Your achievements on the Xbox. You to get to stay at the top of your game with all those things, you have to play every day because there's a daily mission that keeps you at the forefront. And from what I understand, I've never played, so this is kind of secondhand information, and may even be outdated because it's been a couple of years since I worked with that particular group of people. But to play every day, and I don't think there aren't many things. There's really nothing that I can fit into my life every day that is entertainment. That I guarantee going to do it every day. I probably watch TV every day, a little bit, but I'll come home from work, turn on the computer, check my Facebook, watch a little TV, wind down, probably go to bed. I definitely have the TV on every day, but it's not that interactive level. If you come and you're going to play an MMO, you're probably talking about 2 to 3 hours sitting in front of your computer, literally focused on it, interacting with other people that are playing the game. And then when you're playing the game, there's no pause. It's not like when you play Halo on yours where you could be like, oh, the phone's ringing or I'm hungry. Let me pause. You
Right.
can't really do that. It's still going. Unless you're already set up in a group, at least for when I was in City of Heroes, and everyone like kind of agrees to a break, and then everybody can maybe go grab a snack, hit the restroom, whatever it is. But it's on the schedule of the game more so than it is on your schedule, which is really awkward if you think about it. Like, oh, I'm in this group. I can't just get up and go to the bathroom because I might piss all these people off and they're going to boot me out. And now I have to try to get into a group again, which for those that haven't played, and I don't want to ramble on too much, but basically when you play an MMO, like when you play a console game, you just turn it on, you wait for the load screens, always feels like it takes too long, load up your game, you start playing. In an MMO, you can do some things solo, but the game is built to do things in groups. So you log on and then you spend time trying to find a group to do whatever it is that you want to do. That's at whatever level you're at that needs you because there's different types of characters, like the archetypes there's kind of usually some sort of tank, someone who can attract the aggro, get the enemies focused on them. There's melee damage based, range damage based, and then assist characters, healers and people that can buff up your characters with bonuses and things like that. So now not only do you need to find a group, you need to find a group that's your level, you need to find a group that actually needs what you can do. So now maybe an hour has gone by, and this may or may not have happened yet, and you've already spent an hour of your day just trying to find something. And now maybe you're like, fine, okay, I didn't find anything. I am going to build the group myself. So then you start, messaging people, searching for people that fit your criteria, and 45 more minutes go by, and you finally built up your team, and now it's time to start your mission, which might be 10 minutes of travel before everybody gets there. So now you've basically been playing for 2 hours, and you're just starting to actually play.
Mhm.
And this is the reality of playing an MMO. And that's why people play for so long. I mean, I would put in hours when I played City of Heroes, hours upon hours upon hours, like way too much time. And I really enjoyed it. And I don't want to say that MMOs are bad because MMOs can be a lot of fun, but it's about finding that balance. It's really about finding that balance.
And it sounds like, as you were saying, it sounds like the game is set up where it's very difficult to find that balance because you have to dedicate so much time before you actually even get to play the game. I mean, the game, it would appear that it's designed. It's not, for example, if let's say I want to go play Halo. I want to play online. I want to play a particular mission online, and I want to play with 3 or 4 other people. I can go jump on, choose the mission I want, um, and then tell it to find, and it will find 2 or 3 other people who are also online who are playing that mission, and it will throw me into the game. Um, you know, Console games, that's very much the way it is, but it seems that that's not the way for the MMO.
No, I mean, if you are a very active member and have a lot of in City of Heroes, they are called global friends, and a global friend would be someone that you can see when they're online, as long as they have not hidden themselves, going sort of invisible while they're
Right, right.
playing, no matter what server they're on. So, because most MMOs have a variety of servers, whether it's 6 or 12 or 24, because the world's only so big, and if you have enough of a player base, you need to spread those players out over different instances of that gigantic map. So if you play enough and have a large group of friends, it makes it easier. But that's like the vicious circle, You have to play more to get more playing time out of your time that you're on. If that makes sense. Did I say
It
that
it,
right?
it does, and I was just thinking to myself, I've seen the commercials, and these are the things that kind of entice me to want to try it. Is like, wow, you can play up to level 20.
No, WoW's like eight. Oh, okay, wait, go
No,
on.
I
Sorry.
mean you can play up to level 20 for free.
Right. Because
Uh,
by then, it's like the drug dealer.
yeah,
It's like, here, try this. I mean, that's probably a horrible way to put it, and Blizzard probably doesn't want to hear anybody saying anything like that. But it's kind of that way, like they want people to come try it. And you get addicted to dinging levels, Oh, I'm second level. Oh, I'm 20th level. Oh, wait, unless I start paying, I can't become 21st level, but I'm enjoying this a lot.
right, right.
And now all of a sudden it's $15 a month. I was talking to someone who played, doesn't play anymore. They had purchased um, uh,
Expansion.
every expansion at full cost, which they estimated was like $240. And then they paid the $15 a month. I don't remember what it was, like for 5 years, which all in all added up to basically $1,000.
Okay.
Which over 5 years, at my, because I always talk about dollar per hour when it comes to entertainment. What are your dollars per hour? Now that would be at $1,000 5 years. That is $200 a year, and I guarantee they played more than 200 hours each year.
Yeah.
Definitely more than an hour a day. So as far as, I mean, probably more than 400 hours. For a steady player, you're probably talking bare minimum for any steady player. And this is actually low. We're going to say 2 hours a day, which is 700 hours in a year. That's a
Wow.
lot. That's a lot of time. I mean, and
Seems like a pretty good return for the money, at least.
that's true, but you're also paying with your life. Not literally. Well, in some cases, in a little bit of research we had talked about beforehand, there are people that have played MMOs so long, and they're few and far between. These are rare instances, but have played for so long, like consecutively, that they actually died. Like 40 hours in a row. Like 40 hours in a row. There's nothing I want to do for 40 hours in a row. Maybe like count my lottery winnings. Maybe that I would do for 40 hours in a row. But no, because I'm going to sleep a lot more if I have that much money. Never going to happen. I will pay someone else to count my money for 40 hours. There's nothing that's that important that you can't walk away. You can't go sleep, But that's just an example of how extreme it can get for people. But 2 hours a day, and that's low. That's low. I would say in the hours I was playing City of Heroes, my average, God, this sounds awful. I think my average, if I look back, is probably somewhere between 3 and 4 hours a day. And
Wow.
that's giving like days off where I had nothing to do,
And you just spent the
playing,
whole day playing.
yeah, playing for like, 10 hours. And honestly, a lot of that time I wasn't able to play, because you're looking for a group or, waiting for someone to come back or, all this sort of stop and go portions of the game.
Huh. Well, like I'd said about like Star Trek Online, the one thing that enticed me to that game is the fact that you can start. It doesn't cost you anything to start. You get to play an MMO where you go and there are other people you can chat with and trade things with. But the game really is designed for a single player experience. You can go on these missions. You can go with other people as well, but the missions are there as a single player. You'll see other people who are doing the same missions or heading to do the same missions. Once you actually start the mission, you're by yourself or you're with your group.
Right.
But yeah, I mean they're designed to be single player just fine, and you could play the game and have lots of fun with it and never pay a dime. But if you want a really cool ship, or you want to increase the people that you have on your ship, or you want to maybe level up a little bit or get some better weaponry or something, you actually have to pay money. It's a new kind of system that started probably in the last decade, maybe a little longer, where they're some of the companies are moving away from WoW's business model, which is ask everybody who plays to pay a monthly subscription fee, versus this new business model, which is offer the service for free and then offer additional improvements on that service to those who are willing to pay for it. And so instead of spreading the cost of the game over a larger collection of people, and that's where you get your $15 a month, the actual cost of the game is paid by a very small percentage who are spending hundreds of dollars a month in order to increase their characters or upgrade or anything like that.
Right, right. It's called microtransactions.
That's it. Yeah, I could not
Yeah.
think of the name, so thank you.
Oh, no, no problem. And a lot of games, and a lot of MMOs come and go. There are always there have been the big boys on the block. EverQuest was one of the early ones. WoW, which we already mentioned.
Which
The
is still
new,
going on. I mean, it actually just what was it last year was Mists of Pandaria
yeah.
came out for it. I mean, that was a pretty substantial um, expansion pack for
Oh,
that
yeah.
for that.
I, I don't think it's going anywhere, probably ever.
Yeah, I'm sure
It's
it'll. I'm actually surprised that it hasn't made any kind of a. They haven't tried to make any kind of a transition to the console systems, or maybe it's coming.
Well, I think with that Steam box, it's going to be possible
Ah,
because
yes.
Steam is coming out with it's basically a PC emulator for all intents and purposes. And I'm pretty sure that World of Warcraft is one of the games you can buy on Steam. I don't have a gaming PC. I haven't in a while, so I'm not 100% positive about that. But that's going to be the thing that's going to probably make it happen. That and with other MMOs, which in a lot of ways just feels dangerous to me. And maybe that's my own personal possibility of finding a new MMO. Because in all
Ah,
honesty, I really enjoyed the time I playing City of Heroes. It was a very like the fun parts were really fun. In retrospect, I could have spent less than half the time I did, and my fun ratio, like my fun percentage per hour, would have shot through the roof.
right.
And I would hope that if I ever did start another game like that, I could apply that as wisdom to my playing habits. But you just don't know because it's all about dinging the next level and getting that piece of equipment, whatever it's called in the game. It's every game has a different kind of equipment system. With WoW, it's pretty cut and dry because you're wearing armor and you're carrying a weapon and things like that. With a superhero game like City of Heroes was, it's a little more abstract. You had I don't remember what they were called. Basically, in your powers, you had slots to put enhancements in there. Enhancements, that's what it was called. Hey, and you could get specialty ones that were in sets and blah 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 blah. And they were rare drops, and some were really expensive. And it was this whole game of trying to either just have them drop from enemies for you or earn enough money that you could buy them on the market from other players. And it gets crazy and involved, but you don't have to be that crazy and involved to enjoy the game. And that's for my personal experience of the game. that's where I kind of lost sight of it. Like I could just have fun playing the game or get wrapped up in this, trying to be, trying to make the mega character, the character that like I will put this version of this character up against anyone else's version of the same character,
Okay.
which I got into. And I had some like I was really sad it went under because I put a lot of time into it. And I had some very substantial characters that were very well built and very well equipped, and I had spent a lot of time on them. But it was when I logged back on because I found out I was going offline like a month, 3 weeks before it did. So me and a friend that I used to play with had a chance to jump back on and just play for one night, just for kicks. And I realized I had so many characters. I'm like, I don't even know who I want to play, because there was so much I had done that having been separated from it by like 2 years, I think, since the last time I had played, give or take, I didn't even know anymore. I'm like, there's so many different characters for me to choose from. I don't even know what to pick. So I don't know why I was able to differentiate back then that I don't want to play these 12 characters, so I'm going to make a 13th. I don't know where I was just wrapped up. I was crazy in the head. I was a City of Heroes crackhead. Um, but for my experience, it's not even a severe case. I remember reading an article years ago of a couple who had their child or children taken away. They were both playing the Dungeons and Dragons online game, which is similar to WoW, because it's a fantasy-based game, but based on the Dungeons and Dragons,
The rule set for
the
Dungeons
rule
and
set,
Dragons.
right?
Yeah, right. The
Um,
mechanics.
right, right. They got their child taken away because they were both playing the same game so much that they were not taking care of the child properly. I understand enjoying a game, but realistically, how could that ever happen? How could two people get so lost in a game that they couldn't even switch off? Hey, keep an eye on my computer since it's right next to yours while I go make sure the child hasn't starved. You know what I mean? Like, how much did they really lose sight? I'm a single person. I have no children. I never missed work. I worked my 50, 60 hours a week. That was never a problem. I might play before, I might play after, but as far as my responsibilities, it never got in the way. Took up way too much of my free time, but I have the benefit of having a little more of that than a parent does.
When you were playing City of Heroes, you've got a girlfriend now. Did you have a girlfriend at the time?
I did not.
Okay, so you had even more
Well,
free time, I
no,
suppose.
because when we first started dating, I was still playing. Not
Okay.
nearly as much as I was because I had already sort of weaned myself off. But yeah, I mean, it would take up a lot of my like people would come over and I've I'm not the only one this ever happened to. So I'm admitting my geekiness for all of us people. They would come over and I would want to not stop playing the game. Like I expected people that had come over to visit me at my house to watch me play a video game. And I know this happens to other people, because you get so wrapped up in it. It's so bad. It's so bad. I should never play an MMO again. Like going through these memories, I'm like, man, that was bad.
Well, I mean, like I can kind of understand the playing the game for hours and hours at a time. I remember when I played Neverwinter Nights shortly after, probably a year after it had come out. I actually bought a laptop while I was in college, my first year in college, I think. And I needed a laptop anyway, but I made sure that it had the capabilities to run Neverwinter Nights because I had really wanted to play it. I'd played it at my friend's house and got addicted to it. And I would play it for hours. I remember being in like the common room in my college, and being up till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning just sitting with the laptop playing it. And then going to sleep for 2 hours and getting up to go to class. There haven't been a lot of games that'll do that to me. I know that um, the Civilizations games, Sid Meier's Civilizations
Right,
games,
right.
will do that to me. Like if I start playing them, every single time I'll go, I'll just play one more. I'll play one more turn. I'll play one more turn. and it's not just one more turn. It turns into, oh, I've been up for another hour. Oh God,
Yeah.
I got to get up for work in 4 hours. And so I can kind of understand at least that mentality. But the difference for me is that will go away in 2 weeks to a month. And then I'll be like, okay, I mean, a few weeks ago I was going on about Red Dead Redemption. I haven't touched that in a month. I actually just finished L.A. Noire. Uh,
Oh, really?
yeah, I
Great
finished.
game.
It is a good game. I was a little disappointed with the ending.
I never got all the way to the end. Another
Then I
game
won't
came
say
out and took me
anything.
away.
I
Okay.
won't say anything. But I was disappointed. I will say that on the last two cases, I got to walk through to just finish it because I just wanted to beat the game. I wanted it to be over
Right.
with because there are so many games I've played and I get near the end and I don't finish. And so LA Noire, I was like, it's not going to happen. I'm going to finish this game. And so I got to walk through to just get through the last two cases. Because
Yeah.
it gets boring. You basically do the same thing for every case over and over and over. Um, but
Yeah.
we were talking about the MMO addiction and how there were parents who didn't even weren't even taking care of their children. We had mentioned that addictions. They all, while people get addicted to different things for different reasons, they all kind of follow the same sort of pattern where this addiction becomes more important to them than anything else. And
Right.
I one of the drawbacks to having two people who are addicted to MMOs, living in the same house is that they're going to feed off each other. It's like having two alcoholics who live together, or two drug addicts who live together. Is if one person fails, then the other person will tend to fail. That was most likely this problem that's going on with this couple is these two people are feeding off of each other, and well, my wife's not going to get the 2-year old that's screaming in the crib, so I guess I don't need to either. And I'm not going to pretend to understand what went on in their head and why they justified, because there are days where my screaming children drive me up a wall, and I don't move as quickly to help them, especially because you can tell the difference in cries.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And when they're just whining about something, I'm less likely to go jump to their aid. But if I hear, a crash and a cry that's I'm hurt, you better believe that my controller will hit the ground, And there have been times I've forgotten to pause games. But yeah, I mean, it happens. But that's not just it. I mean, there are people. You said, guy died from 40 hours, gaming.
40 hours straight.
But there are other people who get their identity becomes tied into these MMOs, and you had mentioned another, not on here, but when we were talking before during the pre-show, you had mentioned that there was another article in which a young man had killed himself.
Right.
Oh,
Because of something that happened in a video game.
right, right. Now, did it clarify if it was an MMO or no?
I believe it was an EverQuest game. Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But either way, I mean, even if it wasn't, there's a point where you've got to learn to balance these things. I mean, you were talking about it with your own personal struggles with your MMO addiction. Do you think that you could go and play an MMO and not get addicted to it the way you were before?
I think, yes, but it would be once I've played it a little while, I think I would know better. Like, I can or cannot play this game at a reasonable level,
Okay.
depending on how the game is set up. Because that's the biggest benefit to them is to have people that are playing a lot, very regularly, especially if you have a microtransaction, because the $15 a month, it doesn't matter. Don't play at all. Just pay your $15. We're happy. I mean, obviously they want players. The more players they have. If I'm playing and enjoying a game, and you are someone who might play that game, I'm probably gonna recommend to you, hey, you should come play this game with me. I'm gonna be talking to my other gaming friends about it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I would have to try out a game and then know, like, is this something I can actually have in my life with any level of balance? And also for me, I would also want to find one that my immediate friends that would play such a game would also enjoy. Because for me, that was the most fun. I had my buddy, my brother-in-law, actually. Now, me and him played City of Heroes a lot together. So that was one of the most fun aspects of it, was the fact that I could just text him, "Hey," I would literally just text him COH for City of Heroes question mark. And
Right.
he'd text me back, like, give me an hour or not tonight or already on or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Um, but that was one of the cool things about it, that we could play together. And that's what I would want out of another MMO, would be to get something similar. But yeah, I mean, I think that I have proven to myself that in at least some MMO situations, I can't be balanced. I can't allow it to just be, an every now and again kind of thing,
Hmm.
which is why my console system is probably way better for me. Because even Borderlands 2, which I was playing a lot and really, really enjoyed, kind of faded off. I've been kind of waiting for a couple DLCs to stack up on one another so I can go back. And I'm probably there. I'll probably start playing again soon, but not with the same intensity I played with before I basically beat the game. I beat the game.
A couple
Uh,
of times, from what I remember.
right. Well, I mean, for that one, you beat it once and then you open up a second playthrough and that's what sort of carries you to the level cap, is that second playthrough. The game is designed to be beat twice, which basically
Okay.
gives you twice the content, with only half the work as far as the developers, you know what I mean?
Right.
'Cause if they're setting you up to, yeah, play this twice, basically. So everything we just made, you get to do twice, and we're going to call that content, which I'm not complaining about it at all. It's a fantastic game. There's a couple other things when I'm on the video game addiction page on Wikipedia. There's an Ohio teen in 2007 that shot his parents and killed his mother after they took away his copy of Halo 3. Not an MMO, um, but at the same time, I mean, first person shooters, the amount of playtime people play between them, it's similar in the amount of time people could put into it. Because people who play Call of Duty or Halo, especially the online versions of it, will play just as much as an MMO, which is crazy to me because the amount of diversity in content is like squat compared to an MMO. But yeah, I mean, he literally shot his parents because they took away his copy of Halo 3. Talk about addiction, you know? And this one is sad and on a whole nother level of ridiculous. One woman who, oh man, this is horrible. She got convicted of second-degree murder and child abandonment. She allowed her 3.5-year-old daughter to die of malnutrition and dehydration while playing WoW. And then another lady who ended up shaking her baby to death because her crying interrupted while she was playing Farmville on Facebook.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah, I mean, these are probably all over the news when they actually happened. I mean, you got to know the difference between, your game and your life, and you got to know which one is most important.
Well, I mean, with the fact that our time's kind of running down and we got another topic to move on to, I think I I think what's most important here, as with any addiction, the problem isn't specifically with WoW or Farmville or anything like that. I would even venture to guess, especially in those last two instances, that the women uh, were probably using the game as some sort of an escape from whatever was going on in their lives. And when their real life was intruding on their escapism time, that is very likely what kind of caused them to snap. But that could have been eh, quilting, or it could have been, painting something or playing the piano, and those things intruding on that time is really what. All to say that there, I don't, I don't want the fact that there are people out there who have MMO addictions, just like there are people who are addicted to alcohol or drugs, and the problem isn't specifically um, not necessarily just the addiction. There are other things that are going on in their lives. And I mean, you had even said these situations in which somebody snaps, for lack of a better term, and kills somebody or injures somebody, or doesn't kind of fulfill their responsibilities as a parent. Um, they're few and far between. These things don't happen very often. I think more likely, people who get into something like an MMO addiction just spend a lot of time in which they could be doing something else, spending time with family or anything. If, for example, if there is anyone out there, as we've said before, if you think that you're spending too much time, if you think that you might have an addiction to a massively multiplayer online game, we would always say, talk to somebody about it. The game will be there tomorrow. You can come back to it if you feel you need to, but at least talk to somebody. Let them know that is going on. That's something that you have questions about. Uh, and if you have no one else to talk to, there are lots of resources online. And if you can't find any, email us. And I will send you personally. I will send you a list of links for people who can help you. So, but we are going to move on to our next topic. But this is where I think we're gonna stop part one. Part two will be up on Monday, and we are going to hopefully get into a very steady rhythm here of Fridays and Mondays for you guys. So you're not wondering when the videos and the podcast will be updated for all of you avid and rabid fans. We will see you on Monday. Thanks for listening.